of a human form. He or the presence would come into the room, and I would speak to the devil all night long, and he would give me assignments. I would go to 5 clubs or 5 lounges a night to look for people to recruit to the dark side. I would tell people their fortune. I would tell people their lives. I would tell people things that they did, things that was going to happen to them. That then they had no clue who I was. They didn't know who I was. I just had the demonic powers. I had a taste for blood. I would kill animals and drink the blood every week. If I didn't have time to buy an animal, I would cut myself and drink my own blood. The ring of the people that I was with that was in this demonic world, doctors, lawyers, principals, judges, police officers, they were all into witchcraft. There was all, even singers today that are very well known. I would move principalities from that region to control demons on the ground to operate the church, to cut down the church, to cut down the growth of the church, to cut down the opportunity for people to get saved. I would be drunk. I come out of a club and I would have demon possessed, drunk. I would stand in the middle of the street and say to God, come down. You want some of this? You want me to slap you in your face? You want me to spit you in your face? You come and mess with me. I got married in Halloween. I had a demonic wedding on Halloween. I got married in Halloween. All the demons and principalities from different regions around the world came to my wedding. No human beings came to my wedding. They were afraid to come to my wedding. So I had I sent out invitations. No one showed up. So there were no wedding gifts. But demons came to my wedding and baptized my wedding. So my wife was a witch. I was a witch. And then my daughter was born, and I was training her to be a witch too.
So in this video, I want to talk about John Ramirez. This is my opinion. I'm using my intuition, and this is my personal opinion. Okay, so this morning when I woke up, I looked at John Ramirez before in the past, and when he first came out, it's like, wow, because years back I looked at it. When it first came out, you're like, wow, because you don't know that type of stuff exists and all this other type of stuff. And you hear it, and all you basically hear is him spitting out the truth or whatever, what he used to do as a Satanist. And if you never heard it before, it's automatically going to catch your attention, especially if he's standing there talking about the body of the church and now God saved him and all the other stuff. So that's the first thing that catches my attention. Anytime you hear somebody's testimony, especially something to that extreme, and then they're getting on there talking about God rescued them, it's automatically going to catch your attention, because the first thing you hear is a tragedy, evil, demonic story, and you're like, oh my gosh, God rescued him. But then I looked at this again, and like I said, and this is what I want to say too. What was I finna say? Okay, with tarot readers, I don't think anything is wrong with tarot readers, but I do think that there are 2 different types of tarot readers. I think there's some that work. This is from my personal experience, and I don't give a damn how many people have to call out. I'll call you out. But with tarot readings, it's like, I think some of them work I know for a fact, I know some of them work for the light side, and I think some of them work for the dark side. The ones that work for the dark side, it's like they have a false persona, and they may read out good stuff, but I just look at, like I told you, the other girl I called out the other day or whatever, who was acting all seductive on camera but talking about the Most High, and when I called it out, told me that Jesus or Yeshua told me to mind my business or whatever. So that kind of caught my attention. The other tarot readers I noticed, another tarot reader I told you who flipped. I'm not even gonna go into details on it, but this is my thing. Before I get on this John Ramirez stuff, now tarot readers, just because you know somebody's future or you know what's going on in their life, doesn't mean that God told you that or whatever. And automatically, when you a high spiritual person or whatever, and you're a true chosen one, then people that work for the dark side are not gonna like you. So they're all gonna throw shots. That's the only way that makes sense to me. A true chosen person of God who doesn't really know about that type of stuff or whatever, the truth about it, then it's kind of like, of course, people that are working for Satan are not gonna like you or whatever, or look down on you, or that's the only way I can make sense of it, especially if you're reading divinations or cards and you know that person's energy. So anybody that kind of like knows what you've been through with the smear campaign, somebody lying on you, somebody have an STD and they telling you to wait on this person, is just looking for clout, and they want you to keep going to their channel and stuff like that, because a real person of God, they know you've been through, that causes confusion. And before you're awakened to that, you think that this person is just under a curse, the narcissist or whatever, who tried to destroy your life, because God has a purpose for your life. So anybody that's talking about that, It don't matter if they trick you and read out a few truths. Anybody telling you this, who God has for you, is a fucking liar. Excuse me, it's a liar. So anybody that exposes what they're really doing in the background is somebody that works for the light, especially if they know your purpose. So that's how I distinguish that or whatever. So we'll just say that. But I was told way back from a tarot reader, and like I said, it don't matter what I'm told or whatever. It does matter what I'm told, but you can use your intuition and see if that person is telling the truth. I was told that the narcissist was brought into my life to teach me how to properly discern. So when people do stuff, even though I know he was a Satanist or whatever, know he's doing that black magic, he lied on me, all this other stuff, because he knew the spirit in him knew my purpose or whatever and tried to destroy me. But it's like, when you look at other people who have characteristics like that, then it's kind of like you put that in line with the same thing. Now, let me just say this. You did all the John Ramirez did all this witchcraft, all this stuff. You prayed night and day to the devil. Christians didn't really have a relationship with God, so you ever destroyed them, all this other stuff. And then you know the real truth about Christianity. You know that those pastors, they get up there, most of the time they're just putting on game trying to get money. So anybody that kind of like is rooting for Christian and all the other stuff, I don't really rock with stuff like that. Because number one, I'm not a Christian. I've been in the church for many, many years, stayed there, bored, almost went to sleep, and then afraid to tell people that in the past, because we used to say that people automatically think you're the devil or whatever. That's how they train your mind to work or whatever. Forgive your enemies and do everything that they say and stuff like that, but really they just trying to get money. So when you doing that, when you're that deep and you work for Satan, that deep in the darkness, that deep to the point where you know how to leave your body and astral project and go to different things and put curses on neighborhoods and stuff like that. You know how to do all this stuff. You can kill somebody, anybody that talked about God or that was a Christian or something like that. You would destroy them. All this other stuff you did, you did all that. And now you working in the church and you know the game and you know what they it's like you just. And then another thing I noticed, what I kind of notice is kind of flaky about him or whatever. Well, I think he works for the dark side. When you're doing stuff like that and you have a past working for Satan, this is Lucifer, the fallen angel, person is in control of all hell, trying to take all humanity to hell. It don't sound like, you can listen to me all day, but look for yourself. It don't sound like he's sitting up there bragging about that. That's like me. I'm trying to think of if I was a grimy type of person that God saved. Let me think of some grimy stuff. Let's say that I was like a female killer or whatever. I used to set dudes up or something like that and get money out of them or something like that. I just can't, or just if I was just a killer or whatever, I like to manipulate men's minds or whatever. It's no way. Now, we can say little things here and there like, oh, I could have did this, or I would, just in general. Because I said that before too on one of my videos. I was like, if I would have knew the narc was like he was, I'm just talking crap. But really, if I would have knew how he was, I would have got rid of him. It's just being honest. But if you have a history with killing people and stuff like that, and you not work for God, are you gonna really be on camera and be like, shoot, it was this guy, whatever, he thought he was all that. Let me see what I used to do. I used to peep out and watch him or whatever, looking, see if he was gonna flash his money in here. Then I would run up on him and put a low couple of house on, come up to him, and I wanted to get it. It's like the way he's talking about it, it's more like a bragging type. Yes, he's talking about God saved him, but it's like he's more bigging up the devil, more making the devil seem like he's all this and he's, instead, when you do stuff like that, and you know the truth about Satan and stuff like that, then it's kind of like if God brought you out of there, it wouldn't be no shame, because we're to a certain extent kind of like, but the way he's talking about it is more boastful and saying, man, if I was to change, if God was to change me and I was that deep into witchcraft and demonic spirits and all of this stuff, I'd be saying, man, y'all need to be careful out here. When I was in it, it was, I used to do this and do that, and you can't do this, and the devil, they teach you how to do this and stuff like that. And you need to stay away from that. Don't do it's more like a brag. If you open your third eye and really look at it, it's like you can really just see that it's more of a, but he's not making, he's doing it in a very covert type of way to make it seem like God brought him out there, but it's like he bigging up the devil, telling you everything the devil can do. So if you're like a lost person and you hear that and you don't have no connection with God and you don't know about that, you gonna automatically think, oh, I can do that over the head. It's like, come on. Instead of just saying the devil will make you believe all this power and stuff like that. But it's like, just think about what he's saying. It's like Christians, they didn't even really be devoted to God. I was dedicated to the devil. Day and night, I would drink animals' blood. You seeing all this stuff, but you're not seeing it in a way like you're remorseful for it. Just think about it. This just doesn't make sense. Wait for my next clip.
That runs Haiti. His name is Candelo. I had contact with him. I had contact with demons in Miami. I had contact with demons in Africa. I had contact with demons here in New York City, principalities that run the crossroads of the world here on 42nd Street. Okay, there's a different principality that run the crossroads of the world here on 42nd Street than the ones that try to run here in this neighborhood. I didn't have a conscience. I remember I did witchcraft to my brother and I put him in jail for 5 years. The witchcraft I did to my own brother, my own flesh and blood. I did witchcraft to him. I put him in jail for 5 years. I did. My other brother, there was a warlock. He came into my house one time with an attitude, and the demon jumped on him, and he ran out the house. He couldn't hold the pain in his stomach. My mother can bear witness to that. I did so much ceremonies in my body. I did so much ceremonies in my body. The last ceremony I did was not only sell my soul to the devil. I did a ceremony that I had to swallow animal blood and gunpowder. It was called Sansi. Sansi is a ceremony of Haitian and French that you do the ceremony with a demon. So when I go to people's houses and eat, they can't put witchcraft on the food. I did that kind. I did all the ceremonies you can do. I knew I would go to demon church, and every year we would have a meeting, a secret meeting. All the high witches and warlock would have this meeting to find out what principality we were going to usher out and bring in to run the region. We were more organized than the church itself. The kingdom of darkness was more organized than the Church of Jesus Christ. We knew how to do ceremonies. We knew how to do things before the year was over to prepare ourselves for the next year. When Christians couldn't go to church and pray for 1 hour. When Christians could go to church and have a consistent relationship with God. I even took a sabbatical from witchcraft. And the devil punished me, took my eyesight for 1 year. I was completely blind for 1 year, registered with the Commission of the Blind. I was completely blind. They was training me to use an eye-seeing dog. And they was training me to use one of these sticks that you use that you walk the streets with. My mother took care of me for 1 year. My eyes went black, and a mist of gray went over my eyes. I was completely blind, and when I gave my life back to the devil, after 7 surgeries, the devil gave me back my eyesight, and I could see again. And that was my punishment for taking 1 year off. I wanted to take off. The devil said, "You want 1 year off? I'll give it to you." He took my eyesight. And that's the world I lived in. If you mess with the devil, he'll kill you, he'll kill your family. It was a fear that will grip you beyond measure, that you could not leave this religion. You could not leave Santeria, you could not leave Palamanyumbe, and you could not leave spiritualism. The doctors could not explain how I lost my eyesight. $100 to think that their life is going to be free, and they're going to live a life in abundance. I had contact with the principality that runs Haiti. His name is Candelo. I had contact with him. I had contact with demons in Miami. I had contact with demons in Africa. I had contact with demons here in New York City, principalities that run the crossroads of the world here on 42nd Street. Okay, there's a different principality that run the crossroads of the world here on 42nd Street than the ones that try to run here in this neighborhood. I didn't have a conscience. I remember I did witchcraft to my brother and I put him in jail for 5 years. The witchcraft I did to my own brother, my own flesh and blood. I did witchcraft to him. I put him in jail for 5 years. My other brother, there was a warlock. He came into my house one time with an attitude, and the demon jumped on him, and he ran out the house. He couldn't hold the pain in his stomach. My mother can bear witness to that. I did so much ceremonies in my body. I did so much ceremonies in my body. The last ceremony I did was not only sell my soul to the devil. I did a ceremony that I had to swallow animal blood and gunpowder. It was called Sansi. Sansi is a ceremony of Haitian and French that you do the ceremony with a demon. So when I go to people's houses and eat, they can't put witchcraft on the food. I did that kind. I did all the ceremonies you can do. I knew I would go to demon church, and every year we would have a meeting, a secret meeting. All the high witches and warlock would have this meeting to find out what principality we were going to usher out and bring in to run the region. We were more organized than the church itself. The kingdom of darkness was more organized than the Church of Jesus Christ. We knew how to do ceremonies. We knew how to do things before the year was over to prepare ourselves for the next year. When Christians couldn't go to church and pray for 1 hour. When Christians could go to church and have a consistent relationship with God. I even took a sabbatical from witchcraft. And the devil punished me, took my eyesight for 1 year. I was completely blind for 1 year, registered with the Commission of the Blind. I was completely blind. They was training me to use an eye-seeing dog. And they was training me to use one of these sticks that you use that you walk the streets with. My mother took care of me for 1 year. My eyes went black, and a mist of gray went over my eyes. I was completely blind, and when I gave my life back to the devil, after 7 surgeries, the devil gave me back my eyesight, and I could see again. and that was my punishment for taking 1 year off. I wanted to take off. The devil said, "You want 1 year off? I'll give it to you." He took my eyesight. And that's the world I lived in. If you mess with the devil, he'll kill you, he'll kill your family. It was a fear that will grip you beyond measure, that you could not leave this religion. You could not leave Santeria, you could not leave Palomayumbe, and you could not leave spiritualism. The doctors could not explain how I lost my eyesight.
Now I tell you guys that I put stuff in here that and I'm talking about stuff from what I've seen based on what I experienced. I kind of put that hand in hand. Remember, I told you the ex that I got with is a Satanist. I didn't know that or whatever. And a person that hears voices and stuff like that and dabbles in different type of stuff. And I know that from a fact, from experience, but also things that I've heard or whatever. But when one of the things that he used to do or whatever, when he used to because he used to, we used to talk a little bit. I'm not really gonna go into details, but he used to brag a lot about women that he dogged and stuff like that. And me, I thought that he wouldn't do me like that during a relationship because he knew what type of person I was. But one of the things I noticed that when he used to talk, he used to blink his eyes a whole bunch after he say stuff, just like really unnatural eye movements to the point where it's obvious. Anybody who looking at that would think that the person's off. But now I see when people do that, when people talk and then blink their eyes over excessively to the point where it's nothing in your eye, nothing in you doing it after you talk, that means you're lying or whatever. And I know that he's a very, very deceptive person. So that's one thing. But even without the eye blinks, it's just really pay attention to people when they talk. Ask yourself if you used to be a grimy type of person to set people up and rob people and all this other stuff, which means for you to even kind of do something like that, it has to be kind of like in your character to do that. Whatever, we can all make mistakes and stuff like that, but to just be that type of person, that means in your character. But when you come from a life like that, like I said, there's a certain way that you talk about it. It's certain things that I talk about on my channel that I don't go into full details about, stuff that I've seen and stuff like that, or people that I went around. I'll talk and stuff like that and expose stuff. But when you talking about something from whence you came and on a level like that, you're not gonna be, you just really pay attention. And this is what I tell people and stuff that I studied online. You can listen to a person all day and kind of go back and forth from your mind if they're telling the truth or not. Use your own intuition. If you know you're a solid person, if you know you're real, if you know you're a godly person, then compare that to somebody that's talking about God or whatever. Especially if you came from something, just really pay attention or whatever to that. It just seemed like he's trying to big up Satan or whatever. And I'm just looking at him. It's just like he's talking about God, of course. But if you were a person who didn't know God or didn't know Satan or whatever, or didn't believe in them and stuff like that, but you hear somebody bigging up Satan, talking about the power of all this power that Satan gave them, but then you talking about God took you out of it or whatever. Now Satan gave you all this stuff. He would kill you if you live. He would blind you. The person that's lost and doesn't really know God is going to automatically be like, wow, Satan is powerful, whatever. I can do that. Or you're saying all this about somebody who you know is over here on the master of darkness or whatever, but very little about God. It's just like it's very deceptive, whatever. That's why I said start paying attention. Don't listen to what everybody says. I'll tell you, don't even listen to me. Use your own intuition. Think about some of the people that you've been around, deceptive people. Think about you as a real person, if you're a real person, and think about what you talk about God like that in the devil in comparison or whatever. It's like you should have did more of, you guys need to go, God, protect yourself because there's some evil. You need to be saying, if I was a part of the satanic world and I came out of it, I would be like, and know you dedicated your life to save. Now I'd be like, man, God rescue me, because I didn't know I was going to go to hell and burn for all eternity and stuff like that. It's just the way that he's doing it is very deceptive. So that's all I want to say. Use your own intuition and judge for yourself. But you got to be very, very careful on, you got to be very, very careful on who is teaching. That's what I said. They said, in the Bible, but I don't go by everything in the Bible, whatever, because people switch stuff and all this other stuff for their own benefit. But it's strict judgment for teachers or whatever, because it's like you're leading people, you're talking to people. People are out here, they don't know where to go, they're looking for hope and stuff like that, but you're teaching or whatever. So that's why I always tell people, even when you dabble in something, you're not very aware of it or stuff like that, it's like you can't really be harshly judged for that because God knows your heart or whatever. But when you're fully aware of what you're doing and you still choose to work for the dark side, it's harsh judgment for that. And I don't believe that punishment through Satanism is death. I mean, I've heard certain people say that or whatever, but online, what's a guy named John Todd. But you have to remember that God is, I think when you really, really deep into that or whatever it may be, but God is all powerful. God created Satan. Maybe that's like a trick that they do a trick that he does to make people believe that you will die. But it's like, then I think about if you taking an oath and getting into something, you'll never tell the secrets. You vowed to work for Satan, you vowed to do this, then, and you are fully aware that the punishment may be death, but then once you get in, you don't want to do it. It's like this with God or whatever. When you stand with God, it's free will. The devil, it just sounds like it's a slave to it. You don't want to work for the devil no more, and you want to lead it. You don't want to do it no more. Then he blinds you. I'm not saying that's not true, whatever, because I don't put nothing past the devil at all. But he blinds you because you don't want to do it no more. That's like you're a slave to the occult world. God doesn't beg you to pray for him. He just tells you, come to me and I will be with you, whatever. I'll stand against your enemies and stuff like that. If you're a good person, you have protection. But God doesn't tell you, if you don't worship me, I'm going to slit your throat or I'm going to kill your whole family. So they already let you know that you're working with an enemy or whatever. I think people, when they get in too deep, they don't know how to get out. But through God, you can get out. What I tell people is to really tell the real raw truth. That's one way that that's one way I feel that you can escape there. It's like you're telling the real raw truth and people will hear that. It's like when you tell the real raw truth of what's out there and what you've been through, other people are listening and they can be guided by your words and they can be saved or whatever and not get through that, and you get, God favors that or whatever. But it's just really just start paying attention. Another thing that I was told, like one thing that kind of, and it's not just told, but one thing that kind of really got my attention is the stuff off of my channel, the whatever they're doing or whatever. Remember, YouTube is a part of, I'm not gonna say YouTube is part of the Illuminati or the elite and stuff like that, but let's just pay attention. It's like of who I am and the stuff that I'm revealing and what I'm saying, more than all that, who I am. It's like, if they're making it look like nobody's listening and not letting all the views show up, they're trying to make you think that other people are not listening, and it's not. Because it's like people may look at it like, oh, she's just trying to say that because she didn't want to make it look like people. Or it's not about that. It's about that it's like when you work for God, a chosen one, you're not going to be like down here. People, the Satan will work through people to turn against you. I've heard through several tarot readings that they had a hit out on me. Somebody was trying to get me jumped and killed or whatever, and they ricocheted and went back because I'm highly protected because I have something to do. I was told that what I'm supposed to do down here is call stuff out, and I'm the right person to do it because I can own my own truth or whatever. But it's just in general the stuff that I'm exposing. And I don't know, it's just when you hear stuff like that, and after you deal with certain people and you know that you were a good-hearted person and everybody's coming against you, then that should let you internally know that nothing is wrong with you. There's something that the devil is working through people to try to silence you or try to make you feel a certain way, and it don't make me feel a certain type of way because I know who I am with God. This is not my home. So even if I leave or whatever, my words will still stand. Or whatever, somebody is listening, people are listening. It don't matter if you comment, I don't give a damn or whatever. The truth is the truth. But when you are really, really strongly connected with God or whatever, you're not going to be liked by the whole world or whatever. You're not going to be accepted because this is Satan's world. People don't want to hear the truth. They want to hear a lie. They want to hear a fairy tale. And anybody that kind of says something that sounds like that makes them feel comfortable with what they want to hear, they're going to go with it. So that's why I just say you have to really look at the hearts of people. When you are really, truly a genuine person, I might not catch the first time, the second time, but by the stuff that I went through, the people I've been around, now that I'm awake and I look at stuff and I'm like, wow, it's people that's just really, really deceptive. I do believe that certain tarot readers and stuff, they give guidance or whatever, do work for the Most High. It don't matter if you say you work for the Most High, your actions show if you work for the Most High or whatever, your heart. So when I see certain tarot readers or whatever, I do believe that certain tarot readers work for the Most High, especially ones that can see the truth in the cards and stuff like that and read out the real truth. But all that, anybody telling you to get back with a narcissist, somebody that's a Satanist that was sitting in your life because they saw that you were vulnerable or something like that, and sending your life to try to destroy you or whatever, and not apologize, and they tell you to wait, and they know what this person has, and bad karma, he's cursed, all the other stuff, nobody dabble in. Because remember, when you don't see what's going on, you can only use your intuition to keep you guessing and stuff like that. God is not going to send nobody like that to you. And I know I'm getting off the subject of John Ramirez, but I'm just saying, I'm speaking on false people. Anybody telling you that this person is not for you, stay away from this person. There has to be a light worker or whatever, because they know the truth. So that's just something to think about. I just wanted to put this video out quick.